So for those who don't travel or live under a rock or don't know, on January 11th, on that Wednesday morning, the FAA's NOTAM system went down and ended up grounding all U.S. flights for a period of time. And that was the first time that the FAA had mandated a grounding since 9/11. So this is not something that usually happens. It was about a 90-minute delay. And so this little snafu caused almost 10,000 delays and 1,300 flight cancellations. For perspective, that's roughly half of all total flights for the entire day in the United States. And this was a 90 minutes in the morning. Backing up, so what is a NOTAM? Well, if you're old, you probably reference NOTAM. It stands for Notice to Airmen. If you're younger or you pay attention to the news, that has been now changed to Notice to Air Mission back in 2021. So it's more inclusive. So Notice to Air Mission is NOTAM. What it is, it's basically what we use for pre-flight planning. So we get the weather, what's the weather going to look like in the sky, and then we have NOTAMs, which is what's the situation on the ground. That can be, I have runway closures, there's some navigational aids that are out, there's a military exercise going on, so there's a bunch of aircraft flying through the airspace, so I don't want to fly there. Lasers, the president's flying, air shows, all those things. And what it's really, really important for is the airfield that I'm going to, what are the conditions on the field? And so not only is the airfield open, but there's like runway construction, this taxiway is closed, that kind of stuff. And my alternate field. So if I can't land there, where can I land? And then so having that information before you get airborne is a requirement before you fly. Well, that system went down. No NOTAM equals no fly. So that's really what happened. And the official response is, quote, the agency determined that a data file was damaged by personnel who failed to follow procedures, unquote. My take, I'd say it's personal incompetence, but it gets worse. The follow-on of this is that an engineer replaced one file with another, didn't realize that the file he uploaded was corrupt, and he didn't realize the mistake. And then as the system started crashing, the IT staff was kind of running around trying to figure out what had gone wrong. But the engineer who actually made the error is kind of sitting there like, I don't know what's going on. This is weird. So finally they figured out like, hey, who's the last person who touched that? Like, oh, that guy in the corner. Hey, guy in the corner, come here. What did you do? Go undo it. And so they went back and were able to put another file back onto that database that was not corrupt. So the engineers and IT teams then had to go back through a bunch of other systems to make sure, like, number one, how did one person with one file crash an entire national airspace system? So that kind of tells you like how crappy the system is. Like, where are the redundancies and the checks and the processes? So I think it's a process breakdown. It's a personal proficiency breakdown. It is definitely an infrastructure breakdown.
Who needs adversaries when you've got systems like that, right?
Oh yeah,
I say that all the time. Like, we're our worst insider threat ourselves. Like, we have to get out of our own way.
I went down a rabbit hole actually looking up some more information on this. Like, I can't just tell you the news. I have to go like try to find out something else to make it more entertaining. So I did. And this is what I found out. So there was a defense reporter who actually was trying to get some archive NOTAMs last month. Like, was this nav aid up? Was it not? Because when you go and you enter your information, it just spits you out real time. They couldn't figure it out, so they reached out to the FAA, and the FAA said basically like, here's the website. Good luck. It's horrible. So the reporter's like, my take was initially reading that, I'm like, that's funny. And then I was like, I have used the NOTAMs. My hot take was like, I don't think the UI, like, I don't remember it changing in like the 15 years that I've used this website. That's how old it is. That was my like off the top of my head. And then I went down a rabbit hole. So the NOTAMs website that you actually go get the NOTAMs for the civilians is called notams.aim.faa.gov. That is the website that actually went down that civilians use for all their NOTAMs. Okay, so it's an faa.gov domain. If you're in the military, the website you go to get NOTAMs is notams.faa.gov. You would think that's the civilian URL. That is not. That is the military URL. That directs you to what's called the Defense Internet NOTAM Service. The fact that it has internet in the acronym should be your first clue. Like, this is probably an old system. So it's called DINS. The military uses it. And for anyone who's concerned, and interestingly, it shares the same data on the same domain, but the military system DINS never actually went down, only the civilian one. So it has the same domain, the same info, but one broke and one didn't. And then I kind of went down another rabbit hole. I'm like, well, yeah, DINS, the one with the internet in the acronym, I know this is old. This got to be old. So how old? And if you click on the About section, this pop-up appears, and you'll get this gem. Quote, use current web browsers, such as those from Microsoft or Netscape. Users can retrieve real-time NOTA data for domestic, international, and military NOTAMs. I'm like, well, current web browsers, Microsoft or Netscape? Like, wait a minute. That's got to be old. And then I went down another rabbit hole. Yada, yada, yada. Netscape ended in February of 2008. That's how old that website is. That's old.